I, more than anybody else I've ever met in life, have been the recipient of the greatest transfer of baking knowledge, both from the practical point of view of production as well as the engineering side. Because my father in 1967 joined forces with Continental Baking Company. At that time, I was a teenager. I came home in the summers. Summer holidays I spent in the plant. I learned from these people, some of the best engineers at the time on planet Earth. They have become legends since then, and I was a recipient of their knowledge, and it was given openly, wholeheartedly. It wasn't anything I held back, as we tend to do in Jamaica. We don't share knowledge very well, and that's something we must stop doing. We need to share. So out of that, I had a practical experience in it. As much as my parents tried to get me to go to school and stay in school, this was my real school. I'm not saying everybody is going to be that way, and I'm not saying by any stretch anybody will be this lucky again. So I'm a great proponent of this because I believe that knowledge will trickle down or be transferred or be improved upon. We improved upon certain processes that Continental Baking Company had been doing in the United States for a long time. And they actually came to Jamaica and saw a couple of processes that they adopted in their plants at the time. They have since moved on from there. So I think that is such a problem, and the reality is that as we search for people now, and we search hard, they are not available. I'm proud to tell you I have no single non-Jamaican working for me. I do have a foreigner, but he's been a Jamaican now for 18 years. So I think that kind of makes him Jamaican. He wasn't born here, and that's it. Everybody else, born right or so. So we have tried to find people, and we're not being very successful. When I'm not successful, then I have to go and shop, and I shop. So I hurt another company, I hurt another industry, and some people might say, that's good, that's the market will decide. Well, the market will only decide for those of us who can afford it. If you're a small business with an engineer and National comes along and takes him away, your small business could be in trouble. Not only that, you could have spent years training that person to help you run your plant, and now you have a problem. We spend years training people, but our people don't necessarily leave for Jamaican companies. Most of our people migrate. And so there's a great problem with migration. It's ongoing. It is not going to stop. It will not stop, and it will not have gone away, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, as long as both newspapers continue to run a page on how do I migrate from Jamaica on a weekly basis. Now, that page would not run if people weren't reading. Believe me on that. It's there, and to me, it's a shame. It's a shame on where we are as a nation now. But again, that's for another time. Right now, we face a critical shortage of skilled labor, and I think it is something we must think about, because after all, if we face a critical shortage of skilled labor, when we go out and find labor, we're taking the labor away from somebody else's economy. And chances are they're a growing economy. They won't be a first world economy in many cases, or maybe even in most cases. So we're doing the same. We're going to do to them exactly what is being done to us by the economies of the North and the United Kingdom specifically. We have to be realistic. Are we the breeding ground for the greatest nurses on the planet? Maybe we are. So maybe we have to put up more schools. So we have a great pool of nurses. We have to think about it differently. We cannot think about it differently. However, if we are minded to close the door to migration of skilled labor into our country.
But let me ask though, Mr. Hendrickson, and maybe Mr. Chong can also chime in here. How did we get here? What is it that we weren't doing properly, weren't paying attention to? What happened to land us in this position?
Do you want me to be brutally frank or be politically correct?
Please be brutal.
Which one?
Be frank.
Both of them work together in a Butch.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Kaban. Now, coming from you, that is good. And I'll just say it this way. This didn't do it, but this helped it along. 5 flights a day to Miami. 5 flights a day to Miami. It opened the door for us to look outward more than it was ever opened before. Not the Windrush generation, anything after that. 5 flights a day to Miami opened the door. And it opened the door because it was easy. Geographically, it was wonderful. An hour and 20 minutes north of us. And many of us just went and made a new life for ourselves. And we didn't see the fruits of that generation showered in Jamaica. We see it building places in Broward County. We see them running banks in Dade County. They're in total control of the medical services at the care level. Anywhere you want to talk about it, anywhere you want to go. You want the best nurses in Broward and Dade County, you ask for a Jamaican, you won't get a better nurse. And the same thing here, they're the best that ever worked. And so this is what has happened to us. They have gone for greener pastures, literally. They have gone for greener pastures. They've gone for opportunity. Very few of us leave here, this country of ours, for other than opportunity. I can understand crime being a problem and the quality of life is becoming a real issue. But we left in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, the 90s and into the 2000s because we lacked the opportunity here. And those of us who were trained were the easiest to go. We settled easily abroad. We had a skill, and we added to that wonderful pool of skilled labor that they had to draw from, and it left us without anyone in Jamaica, or very few.